And I'm going to, here we all are, goddesses. Thank you so much for showing up. It's Monday once again. I'm going to stop the share of music here and officially announce that it is the best moment today to make a very important decision. So I'm going to go ahead and spotlight myself so I can inform you of this decision that I am inviting you to join me in making. And that is, you all have had a coin in your hand before, haven't you? Coin where you have two sides, right? And we often say, flip the coin, look at the other side of the coin. Now, when you imagine this coin, I'd like you to also to consider that there is actually a third side on that coin. Do you know what that is? That's that circle around, right? So we have the top, we have the bottom, but we also have this circle around the coin. And today I want to talk about that third option, that outside circle around a coin, because it's going to help us make this decision of going from victim, going from perpetrator into the creator. And the reason why I'd like to talk about that today is because I have just come back from an epic workshop in Berlin with a wonderful lady called the profiler Suzanne. Now, profiler Suzanne speaks German and has a great Instagram following and a lot of social posts that you could all look at if you're a German speaker. But even if you're not a German speaker, I suggest check her out and just get a feel for a very powerful woman who's on a great mission on this planet, actually to educate people about things like narcissism, about these interesting behaviors that some humans can have and how to best deal with it, the strategies that profilers use in their everyday life and in their work to be able to determine whether someone is speaking the truth, if a case or someone is making sense, and to define who here is actually the victim, who is the perpetrator, and how can both of those go into their creator energy, where we step out of that duality and actually reconnect to that creative energy that we are all made of and that we were made from. So I thought what I'd do today is tell you a little bit about what I learned on this last weekend. Are you in for that? Is that interesting to you? Then raise your hand. Oh, okay, super. I was hoping you'd say that. So let me paint the picture first. So Suzanne Profiler is a profiler, right? So these are people who are hired in certain cases of either red or white crime. So we have, when we have true crime, and these people work for true crime, we have one situation where we're talking of a red crime, and that in German is called ein roter Tatort. And that's where we have a victim that has been killed, there's blood, there's a victim that we can see. But then we have also the white crime and the weiße Tatort, and those are more things like cheating, deception, more economic crimes as well, but also defamation goes into that. So it's a very interesting subject because as profilers, they are able to and have to and are trained to see the psychology, but also the structure of a human, to ask who is someone like that, who commits a crime like that. They get into their heads, and it was fascinating to get to know all the different types of profilers that are. For instance, there's one type of profiling that is as one type of expert, that's a better word, one type of expert that is brought into cases like this, whose only job is to say, does this make sense? And I'll give you an example with the case that we were exploring. In this case that we were in, it's a true case that they had been tasked to find out by an investor who had approached this profiling team, Suzanne Profiler, and said, please help me in this situation because I believe I am being cheated on in my company, and I don't know what to do. And so the profiler's job, the team of profilers, was to find out who is the victim and who's the perpetrator here. Because we all know, I mean, I don't know whether any of you have looked into, there's actually a Netflix series on it, Depp versus Hearst, right? Johnny Depp and Amber Heard in their defamation and that trial that was so public. It's now a Netflix series. You ask yourself, who is the real victim here and who is the perpetrator? Because honestly, you could flip it either way. It's who do you believe? So she was saying that their first job is to find out who is the victim and who is the perpetrator. And then once they have found out who the victim and who the perpetrator is, to get inside of the head of the perpetrator to understand how is this person operating and is this person a danger for society? So one of the analysts only looks at what is making sense in the sense of what facts align and does this behavior match the personality of the person. So for instance, the case that we got was a case of a guy who we'll call the investor right now, being approached by a life coach in southern Bavaria, who was 53 years old, and had quite a small following on social, but for some reason, whatever, was very successful. And in the year 2019, made 1.2 million euros. And this woman approached this investor who was also doing business coaching and things like that, and booked coaching sessions with this guy. And she booked one coaching session and really liked it. And then she booked another 10 coaching sessions. And when she did these coaching sessions, it wasn't about him coaching her. Funnily enough, the only thing she was interested in, how can we work together? So she reeled him in and got him to invest a considerable amount of time and energy and money, of course, into her company to create a new company that she was made CEO of, where their goal was to go from 1.2 million within 5 years to 1.3 billion. Okay, so huge scaling, big plans, and it was all, up and running, and they went through all the steps of signing the contract, yada, yada. But, funnily enough, the moment the contract was signed and she was actually supposed to be doing the work of, sort of similar what I'm doing, right? So to present the content for this whole company, she started going on vacations, and it kind of, her behavior started getting a little erratic. And from this great euphoria of getting together and being a strong team, the investor started getting more and more frustrated, and more and more the feeling of something's off. And then a couple of months on, only 4 months into this corporation, she was found taking money from the company, right? And in that case, she was then suspended as a CEO. But then a funny thing happened. She was suspended as a CEO, but 1 month later, she officially resigned as a CEO. Weird. Why would she do that? Then a month later, she not only resigned as a CEO, she'd already resigned as a CEO. She filed for bankruptcy of that company. Although the company was not bankrupt, it wasn't insolvent at all, but she filed for that. And that was the moment when the investor came to the profilers and said, help me. I don't know what's going on, but this is weird. And then not only did she file for bankruptcy, which actually means that you're destroying the company, right? But she then just moved on, created another company, and started blackmouthing and defaming the person's reputation. So we were allowed to work with her and guess with her and analyze with her to find out who is someone like that, and what are their operation systems like. And the label that then we concluded was, because at the end when we got all, and we just got facts, right? This is not an emotional reality. This is just facts. And what was fascinating was that all these different analysts are able to do different things, and they're tasked with very specific things. One thing is, for instance, to take a statement that this person, for instance, made. So the coach, we'll call her for now. The coach said, for instance, the reason why she behaved the way she did was that she was just trying to save her baby. And she also said, because she's a highly sensitive person with a healing mission. And her mission was given to her by the goddess Isis. And according to that mission, her presence alone is healing. And that was the reason why she had to do all these things to save her baby, right? And she even gave this in lawsuits, right? So she had a lawyer who wrote down all these accusations towards the investor. And then one analyst had to go ahead, and every single accusation had to be looked at to look at the truth. And then the whole pattern that was actually revealed, and I should think this is where a lot of you will recognize these kind of patterns, are the patterns of narcissistic behavior. So the bottom line of this workshop was to recognize that there are different operational systems that humans can assign to. And things like narcissistic behavior are part of a personality, unfortunately, because they're a learned behavior that often happens in childhood. So it's not something that you're born with, but it's something that you learn to do because it seems the best strategy to get your needs met. Shall we say that? Because I'd like to be really careful here when we talk about things like narcissists, that we don't go into that, if we look at the medal again, of, oh, there's always a victim and there's always a perpetrator. Yes, there is. But for both of those, there's always that chance of learning out of all of this and becoming better and evolving into that creative energy. So I'd like to share a couple of things of how a person like that functions so that you can do a little bit of an analysis for yourself, because, you know, we all can have a narcissist in us, but we don't need to let it lead. But not only reflect on yourself, where you might have or might be showing sort of behaviors that you could check in on, but especially to also check in your environment and check in your social connections and be more aware of the fact that there are people who have this operational system. And if you're not aware of it, you can become a victim. So let's start out with saying, who are the preferred victims of a narcissist? There are two things that a narcissistic person is very keen on. One is curiosity, and the other one is enthusiasm. So for you now listening, if you want to check in whether you might be prey for someone like that, watch out for moments where you're really curious about something and really passionate and enthusiastic. Because what does that mean? It means that your guard might be down. Because you know what, I'm sure you know moments like that when you get so swept up in something, you're really curious about something, and then it gets really exciting, then you might be prone to not take care or not be aware of some of the red flags that might come up. So one of the biggest red flags for someone who might misuse or abuse your passion and your curiosity is if someone is hurrying you to make a decision. If there's always a sense of urgency, right? Because that's not giving you the time to consider, you know, is this right for me? So just in general, if there's anything that you take from this little gathering today, is pay attention to where someone is rushing you or pushing you to make a decision without giving you the time to reflect. Because when we don't have that time to center ourselves first, we might make a very impulsive decision that we will then later regret. So your number one key is to stay aware and to notice, what is this request from this person doing inside of me? How do I feel about this? And what would I do if I had all the time in the world? What would I do if I had all the time in the world? Would I then still, you know, be rushed to this decision? And then another sentence I'll give you, and I was talking to Ethel about that, is that a goddess never rushes. Eine Göttin lässt sie nicht hudeln. No, you take your time. That doesn't mean that you can't be quick. But it does mean that you don't give in to that pushy kind of come on energy. Yes, you can sometimes choose to, but it's a choice, okay? So be careful when you make that choice to get that sense of urgency out and to come from a better space. Okay, the next red flag is, because here's the thing, when we're dealing with someone who might have a narcissistic tendency, we do always have to reflect inside of ourselves, or am I the narcissist, right? And that inner retrospection should come, because as we say, we can be any side of the coin, and we might sometimes behave like that because we're just not aware of it. So to have that check for yourself, am I the narcissist now? Because here's the problem, if any of you are in, for instance, an intimate relationship with a narcissist, or you have a boss, someone who's very influential in your life and who has this behavior, what happens is that over time, you will start doubting yourself. The main problem is that because these kinds of people are highly manipulative and very clever with that, and with the techniques of the gaslighting and all that, what happens is that your identity started getting cracks. And you might then wonder, who am I here? Maybe I'm the problem, right? A way to check in if you're really the problem, are you really someone who's got a very strong narcissistic tendency, is to check your relationships. Ask yourself, do I have healthy, happy relationships? Of course, not every single relationship in your life might be perfect. I'm not saying that. But on whole, if you do a quick scan, what are your relationships like? Are they close? Are they honest? Can you be real with your friends? Are those kind of relationships? And is it just one or two people creating these problems? Or is it something that's all over? Because if you're maybe someone who has no really good relationships, you might well be the problem. And then know that you can get help. Because the thing about any of these labels that we have, I will still stand strong that we all have choice. So many psychologists, actually 99.9% of all psychologists and social researchers and experts will tell you narcissism isn't healable. I beg to differ, because if that is true, then why would cancer be healable? Why would any other label be healable? Why would it matter what label it is? I still believe that anything can become whole, but it is a choice. And to go from admitting to being a narcissist or having narcissistic tendencies to healing, that takes a lot of courage, doesn't it? Because we have to admit to ourselves, oh, damn, there's something that I need to fix in myself. So where does it come from? According to the profiler Suzanne, this narcissistic behavior usually comes from early childhood. And she said it in German very beautifully. It's usually when the child was missing the glint in the mother of the eye. Wenn dem Auge der Mutter das Glitzern gefehlt hat, der Glanz gefehlt hat. So it's something where the child didn't get that nurturing, safe, unconditional love of a mom. Let's just put it that maybe. So some childhood trauma created a kind of a wound in that person that had them then create these behavioral patterns because they thought that's the best way to behave. So what's a pattern that you will see? A pattern you will see in these types of people is that when you meet them, they'll be incredibly magnetic. They'll be very kind of shiny and very attractive, right? Because when the narcissist's light on, it shines bright. And then usually these are people that will also very urgently start with the love bombing. Usually after the getting to know phase, love bombing comes very quickly. So red flag, again, the urgency. Watch out how quickly someone is trying to reel you in, how quickly they're wanting to make you commit. Whether this is business or private, doesn't matter. Take your time and do your due diligence to really check out this person, to sit with this, to say, how do I feel about this? What would I do, right? And then the love bombing can often create, or usually creates, this ecstatic euphoria. This will be someone who will give you exactly what you always wanted to hear. Because here's the thing, they're actually very, very smart and very, very good at what? Finding our wounds. So that's the part where we can really, help ourselves heal, is by recognizing those wounds in us. And here are the most common wounds. The most common wounds are a sense of lack of self-worth, right? So if we never believed that we're actually, great and special and that we're unique and we can do this and that we're worthy of love and all that, and some part of us believes, oh, I'm never good enough, or I have to prove myself, yada, yada. It's an open door to someone else to abuse that. So the good news is that the more you nurture yourself, the more you stay true to you, the better you're going to move out of this and actually learn from these teachers. So after the love bombing, unfortunately, usually the disruption comes. And then know that people who have this wiring, it's just a bad programming, right? Not out for the long term, oh, we're going to stick this through and we're going to actually reach the goal. No, they need, because, and here's the explanation, because they don't seem to have a formed identity. they create their identity by literally, I don't know, waking up in the morning and saying, asking, who do I need to be today? They're shapeshifters. They're able to adapt to any situation because their identity is not clearly formed because of that childhood trauma or this pattern that they've created, right? So they literally need always inspiration from the outside. You'll often find that these people can never be calm. They can never stay in one place. They can never stick to one thing because they're like these ADHD bunnies, right? This constant shiny objects. And no, not this, because that is the way that they get their energy. Okay, so notice that. And then notice if someone has a history of, I don't know, often opening and closing companies just like that, going through relationships just like that, moving the whole time, constantly starting new projects. Just watch out. Why are they doing that? And the reason why a person with narcissistic programming does it is because they can't deal with the staying on commitment and keeping boundaries, right? Because they have no boundaries. So that also means that we can often, if we have values, different values, and we have a formed identity, and we are very clear on what we need and where we want to go with life, we often assume that another person does that too. So I have made so many mistakes in moments like that I didn't know about this pattern enough. I have only been studying narcissism for about 3 years now, really intensely. And before that, I'd never heard about it. Yeah, you read about it in psychology, but it's not a really kind phrase that we use in everyday life much. So learning this pattern helped me realize that there have been many moments in life where I fell for that because I assumed that just because I wouldn't do that, someone else wouldn't either. And because I assumed as long as I am fair and giving and keep to the rules, the others will too. But who of you knows that's not the case? Anyone here? Right? And here's what Suzanne told us for that. She said, next time you ask yourself, oh, but that's not fair. I can't do that and that would, right? Like us women often do. And I will say women here because from our programming, a healthy woman normally does take care of her surrounding and will, when she makes decisions, automatically consider what will this choice do for my children, for my family, for my tribe. That's just how we're wired, right? But when we're dealing with that type of person, that is lethal because just because we're fair doesn't mean they will be. So here's the tip she gives us is ask yourself next time, what's fair to me? How can I be more fair to myself before I'm so busy on being fair to everyone else? Because if you're dealing with someone who has no boundaries, who has no formed identity, who doesn't keep to rules and agreements because they just hasn't, or they're choosing not to, right? Then you're going to sit on the shorter stick every single time. And here's the cost of that. The cost of that is, and I loved how she explained this. She said, we all will get wounds in life. It's natural. We'll get wounds, we'll get hurt, we'll suffer a certain amount of pain. But the suffering is optional because if we stay, say, in a toxic relationship, again, doesn't matter whether this is business or private, that wound will be attacked again and again and again until it becomes a scar. And then your identity becomes scarred. And then we can often lose touch in who am I really? And that kind of stress is measurable. And I loved how she put that in there as well, saying, if you're in a relationship like that or in a situation like that, where you're realizing, damn, I'm on the flip side of this coin where I'm the victim of this, I want you to know that you will need help getting out of that. Doesn't mean that you can't do it alone, but you need to get help in also in form of supplements, of making sure that your body, your physical body is in a good shape, because she did say, this is war. This is like being at war and you will need a strategy. And your first job is to make sure that you have the support, that you have the strength inside of yourself to stick it through. Because it's like the master level of personal evolution, right? So if we agree that all these people that we attract are all teachers, wouldn't you agree that this is a master teacher? So to get ready for your master teacher lesson, for the big end game, you've got to be in a good shape. And I love how she said that, because you see that wound, that scar goes from being just a little thing into a problem, into chronic stress. And when it becomes chronic stress, it's also neurostress. And those are those moments when I know this from, also coaching people so often, and especially moments of crisis, when we go into that state of neurostress. I often get stories, and maybe you know this yourself, of you wake up at 3 a.m., your heart is pounding and you cannot fall asleep again. That's because whatever you suppressed until then, your liver is waking up and it's coming up again. And all those unresolved pains and hurts and wounds that you were given want to be addressed. So get help. And I think us here in the Golden Goddess Circle, we can say, this is a good place to be, to notice how safe it can feel to be in a circle like this, and to know, yes, even if someone is watching this later, this is our sacred space. And here's a safe place to talk about topics like this. And I know it's an uncomfortable topic, but I also think it's a really important topic, because I think we're living in a pretty narcissistic world right now. And especially for us here who are empaths, and many of you are healers and moms, and in caring positions, we can often become unwilling prey of these kind of people. So I thought I want to talk about this so that you, A, know you're not alone, B, know you are not crazy, and B, 3, know that you can get help, and we're here to help you. So I wanted to share what I have shared and give you the number one word that Susanne Profiler gave us as our survival tool. And that is independence. Independence, independence, independence. That doesn't mean that we can't connect to others and commit to others and trust others. No, not at all. But it means that we need to make sure that we have our chicks, our vessel, our space safe, clean, and that we can take care of ourselves, and lean upon sisters like here, and people where we can each vouch for each other. So another thing I would like to give you as advice is have a golden circle of friends, a wise counsel that you can be open with, that you can be vulnerable with, that will be real with you, people who will tell you the truth even when it's uncomfortable, who'll be loyal, who you can trust. And when you meet new people, or even if you have relationships in your life where you'd like someone else to just look at it and give you a fresh and an objective opinion and view of the situation, that's super helpful. It doesn't mean that they'll always be right, but it will mean that they will, if it's honest and authentic relationship, will be able to give you feedback that helps you do that reality check. So one of the techniques that narcissistic people use when they're, engaging with their preferred victim is that they will isolate that person, right? So make sure that you don't allow yourself to be isolated from your friends. And be very careful if you get into a relationship with again, the boss, private person or whatever, and someone tells you, I don't want you to go and meet so-and-so. They'll have to at least give you a valid reason why. And listen to that, because maybe they're warning you of something. But if this is someone who's controlling the people that you are with and starts telling you that your friends and your family and whatever all no good, watch out, okay? Because many of these narcissistic personalities, of course, also find their way into a lot of teaching positions and can become the gurus, the cult leaders, the big magnetic personalities. We know that, right? And there's no point judging them for that, but there is a good point to start watching out for that and staying true to you. And what's your number one key? Intuition. Trust your gut. Trust your intuition and become better and better at fine-tuning it, at really taking that time out every day to do that check-in with you. So was that helpful to you? Did I share something that you can take along? Cool. There's much more. I mean, look, my note, you can't look, but my notebook is filled. But I just wanted to kind of start talking about this topic because, I have other news to share with you too. And it's kind of good news, but also very, very sad news. The reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because I am planning with the beautiful Dr. Mark, who, if you remembers Dr. Mark from the retreat, a dear friend of mine from Denver, Colorado, actually born South African. He and I are going to be doing an online course. It's the first masterclass course that we're creating, and we're calling it Defense Against the Dark Arts. And we're going to be teaching all these things that we have learned and experienced and that we have gathered and researched about how to deal with all these different personalities of people and how to watch out and yeah, live a great life, although there are, of course, also dark forces on this planet. And how do we deal with it? So that's the good news, or exciting news, at least I hope for you. So I'll keep you posted on when that's ready. It's going to take a couple of weeks and months, most likely, because we really want to make it perfect, of course, but keep your eyes out for that. But here's the sad news. When I was in Berlin and taking this wonderful course, in the evening, I talked to Dr. Mark. We were chit-chatting on the phone because I wanted to fill in on all the stuff that I'd learned, because it's so fabulous also for our course. And we had a great call, and we were excited about our next meeting, when to get this all ready. And then I slept, and I woke up in the morning and I received a text message from him. And the text message read something along the lines of, "Oh my God, Joy, I am devastated. My daughter passed away today. She took her own life." So I would love to invite all of us here, if you're willing, to, for 1 minute, send Dr. Mark some love, because I think we can all imagine that this is the most horrible thing that we can, as parents, have to go through, that a beautiful young soul, 25 years old, a bright, shining star, seemingly happy, just spent a week with her dad 2 weeks ago. They're so close. It was like nobody would have guessed, right? When something like that happens, I could imagine that we are really wondering what life is even about, right? So I think it's these moments of darkness that we need other souls and beings of light to rally around us. And unfortunately, we can't all rally around Dr. Mark now physically now, or he might also not really like that right now, but we can energetically. So if you're in, then let's just take 3-4 breaths. Become aware of this present moment right now. Ground ourselves down, noticing those roots growing out of the soles of our feet, out of the coccyx of our spine, saying thank you to Mother Earth, thank you to ourselves, thank you to our awareness, our heart, our bodies. And then we could close our eyes and roll them up. And then inside of ourselves say, even if I don't know how, to be a channel of light and love right now, and send Dr. Mark all the light and love and comfort and solace and all the resources he needs to go through this process and time right now in the most graceful, easeful, and even joyful way. All I do know is it is so now, and I'm fulfilled. I delete all that could stop me. And I download everything I need to do so now with grace, ease, and joy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So it is, so it shall be, or something even better. Mark, may you feel safe. May you feel healthy. May you feel happy. And may you live life with ease. And to the one known as Bianca, may you rest in peace. May the legacy of love that you left behind grow and expand and comfort and inspire millions of people. We love you. Thank you for being on this planet, and we wish you well. And then come back in the here and now, imagining all that light that you have in your heart expanding out throughout your own body, into your aura, into the space around you. Let's send this light to all those beings that are suffering right now. May all beings on this planet feel safe. May all beings on this planet feel healthy and happy and live life with ease. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then come back into the here and now. Stretch out. Let's say yes. Let's say yes to life. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. And I'm now gonna call a few special people into my spotlight, who also have some big news. So remember how, and I think it was the last circle, I'm looking for Nicole now. Maybe Nicole, you come into the spotlight. Oh, Yolanda, you can come in instead. Remember how I asked you who would like to co-host with me? Because Dawn is taking a sabbatical to study psychology. Well, a couple of wonderful women said yes. And Nicole Dansett said yes. So in her replacement for now, we have Yolanda, who kind of said a yes, I'll support from the background, but I'm not sure about the English. And then this morning, Lily came in and said, yeah, you know what? I'll co-host too. So first of all, let me say thank you. Thank you for taking this courageous step. Lily, say something.
You know, you said, oh, it's just a matter of pushing a few buttons and doing this and doing that. And I thought, well, that's what I do all the time. I want to offer my services doing those things. So that was the final thing. I thought, okay, I'll wait 3 times. I thought, do you really have to wait? Is this something you want to do, or is this something you should do? Or I just love you, Joy, and I just want to support you. And when you said that Nicole and Yolanda had also volunteered, I thought, oh, wonderful, because we met in Salzburg at the Golden Goddess Circle. So that was really at the
The
retreat.
retreat, right?
So
And I was talking to Nicole just now, and she was saying, it's strange. The first time we sat down together in Salzburg, I was sitting next to Lily. Right? So I know, Yolanda, you kind of said yes, but then you were like, I'm not sure about the English. So what we thought, and this is why I want to share this with all of you, is I want to have a kind of roster, a group of women. I think when we start collaborating like this, because you all have a lot of wisdom to share and things that you can throw into the circle to uplift us all, we're going to create something here that I don't think has ever been done. Because normally these kind of things always have one designated leader, maybe two, and then the rest kind of just chime in, and that's how we do it. But what we're trying to do here, or what we're doing here, is creating a completely new paradigm of co-creation. So thank you for all those of you who also wrote in and said, I'm more Italian, my English isn't that good, but I'd love to teach this, or I'd love to share something about that. Keep it going. Because you'll see also, I think it's next session, we're going to have some guest speakers in. Whenever I meet a cool woman who has a lot of cool things to say and interesting input, I invite them in and I say, hey, do you want to come in to one of our Golden Goddesses and teach something? And all up until now, I've said, yeah, and we're just setting dates. So just for that to be said, that this is how us women find sisterhood and help each other navigate difficult times, but also, beautiful times together, because we get to share. So Yolanda, are you in to be the goddess that kind of supports and sometimes chimes in and maybe shares some of your, I've just seen you do so much artistic work that I'm sure you could help us tune into our creative powers more. I'm sure you have so many ideas.
Yes, I would love to support, of course, but I hesitated a lot because my English is not good enough. Well, and then Nicole said, "Yeah, but you do so many things and you have so much experience, and so maybe we can do it together." So we speak together, and then I introduce it, and she was suggesting also to talk one time more about the project Message on a Bottle with a Water, for World Peace Day, which I did last year, and I wanted to do it this year, but now the situation with Robert takes a lot of time, and I'm more therapist than in something else. So, but I will do it because it's a pity when 1 year we don't do it. So I'm going to ask you ladies for help in the next. When Nicole told me that she was in one of the next.
Yeah, so the first circle that these ladies are going to co-create is going to be the first one in September, because that's when I'm at Lynn McTaggart's in Leeds or nearby. So that's going to be your first time, and you're going to get a topic to ready, something that you want to talk about, and we're going to pre-announce it so all ladies know what they're signing up for, and it's going to be fun. So thank you, Yolanda. And the Message in the Bottle project, absolutely put that on as books. Wouldn't it be beautiful to do a peace project all together here in the Golden Goddess Circle, to make that our designated thing? Oh, you see Lily smiling. That's what we're all about, right? Peace, Lily?
Absolutely.
So I've mentioned it before, Lily and I are going to meet officially again in November on my 50th birthday in Cyprus for International Women's Peace Federation. So there's big stuff happening, girls. I think you're noticing it, and you're all part of this. I want you to know that you're always included, and we're going to find lots of different ways how we can all co-create together, right? Cool. Okay, thank you, ladies. I'm going to let you out of the spotlight now, and I'm going to move in. Look at this goddess. Ethel. Now, can we... I know, she's like, what? Why am I in the spotlight now? I didn't say yes to this, but you kind of did. So I want to show you this beautiful goddess, because I would like you to notice the background that she has. Is that beautiful or what? So here's the joy work for today, because she's already done it. Ethel and I have been working together, and today we had our follow-up session to see, how did the work that we did, how did it start working and what's going on? And I said, you know what? Why don't you change the background picture of your Zoom profile to something that signifies this new energy, this new part of you that you are seeking to amplify? And this is what she chose. So I'd love, us goddesses, why don't you now give her feedback? What does this background do to you? What do you get from it? What do you like about it? Okay, so start in the chat now. Let's give Ethel a round of noticing. I notice I like. Okay, so I notice I like. Ethel, you ready for this love bombing?
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Because this woman has said yes to opening up, yes to amplifying her life. And I just want to say I'm really proud of you.
Thanks.
And
so, I'm really touched now.
Well, what?
I'm touched. Thanks.
How does that make you feel when you feel touched?
Small.
Small. That's interesting. And a good small, does it remind you of being small, or how does it make you feel?
Yes.
So can I just share, in our session, we were talking about how can we bring out that little girl in us again? That little girl that was so feminine and playful, and I love that you can feel that now. So you're getting feedback. I love the butterflies symbolizing new life. I like the blue light. Butterflies are also my favorite. I like the butterflies as they represent transformation and rebirth. And they also give a colorful and serene atmosphere. I notice vulnerability and playfulness. I notice love, confidence, and open transformation. Seeing that? I like those rays of light. And think about it. How often do we get onto a call or something and we have, I don't know, just some weird blurred background when it's so easy? So for all of those who are maybe also sometimes worrying with the technology, can I do this? All you do is you go onto the Zoom thing at the top left of your screen, and then you hit on Zoom dot, with me it says US, and then you see something called preferences, and then you hit preferences, and then you scroll down until you see backgrounds and effects, and I'll show you how simple this is. And then you can upload a picture that you like, and you can just change the atmosphere just like that. And I think it's a fun way to anchor something that you are choosing to manifest. So by choosing today to go into our creative energy, what kind of image comes to mind? And now you could just go ahead and you go on your preferred search engine thing and you put in the word, right? You could put in playfulness. You could put in serenity. You could put in, I don't know, a value. You could just put in a picture, an image that makes you happy when you just think of it. And then look at what AI comes up with. Hit on images and you'll find lots and lots of different images that will just change the scene. And it's such a simple thing to do. So thank you, Ethel, for being so open in sharing your beautiful background and for doing your joy work right away. So here's the thing. Look, and who's done it? Luana, I like the palm trees. The moment we say yes to something, we make a decision, and then we take, even if it's a tiny little action step, but we do something right away, we are programming our brain that we're serious, that we mean this, that we're going to really consciously do this now. And remember, the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So if you're seeing yourself, I don't know, surrounded by hearts, surrounded by butterflies, or what am I else seeing here? Palm trees and beautiful things, it does something to your nervous system. So here's a simple trick of how you can do that. Lily, you've got a river, I think I can see behind you. I like it. So thank you for that. Thank you, Ethel. Is there anything you'd like to share?
I thank you all for these lovely words and for this Beistand, also
support.
For support. Yes, I'm so nervous now. I'm trying to find the English word. Sorry.
You're doing really well. You don't seem nervous at all, do you? I think you seem very serene. Maybe it's the background.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to all of you. Is there anything I can still do for you before we start our transformational process? Do you have any questions up until now? Then put it in the chat and I'll be happy to answer it. So let's make the decision to go into our creative power, out of victim, out of perpetrator, into creator or creatrix. Are you ready for that? Let's do the switch. And then we say, I love and accept myself, even when I'm a victim, even when I'm a perpetrator. And I love and accept myself when I now choose to be a creator, a creatrix of life. And breathe. Good job. Underneath your left arm, watch out, switched. Left arm. Victim, perpetrator, creator. I love and accept myself, even when I have doubts, even when I don't believe in myself and I don't know who I am. It's okay. I now choose to trust myself, to trust me, and to believe in myself and my power of the creator. I'm a creatrix. I'm a creator. Breathe. Well done. Thumbs. Strike our thumbs against each other. And we say, victim, perpetrator, creator. I love and accept myself with all my grief at my deepest level. And from the very first time I felt sad. And I choose now to release the grief and to step into my power of joy, the joy of creation. Yes, I am the joy of creation. And breathe. Good job. Underneath your collarbones. Oh, I'm seeing the Golden Gate Bridge. Thank you. Victim, perpetrator, creator. I love and accept myself with all my fears of failure, my fears of death, my fears of pain, my fears of rejection, my fears of abandonment, all these fears. I love and accept myself. And I now choose to release these fears and to step into my power of creation. I can do this. I will do this. And I am doing this now. And breathe. Good job. Right side, your liver. Tap your liver. Victim, perpetrator, creator. I love and accept myself with all my anger. At my deepest level and from the very first time I was angry. And I choose now to release this anger and to step into my power of compassion, peace. I'm at peace with myself. I'm at peace with the power of creation that I am. And breathe. Okay, now let's integrate. Wave the air in front of your heart and above your head, and then say, I now choose to fully own the power of creation within me and around me. I choose to make wise and loving choices, to be fair to me, to have clear boundaries, to stay true to me, to find that peace within me. Yes. And to create it all around me, as I am a goddess, or I am a man god if you're a guy. I'm a goddess of love and of light, of potential, and I am ready now. Yes, yes, yes. So it is, so it shall be, or something even better. Now check. What's the first color that comes to mind? What's the first word that comes to mind? What's the first image, the sound, the smell, the feeling? What are you noticing? And then maybe write that down. I'm noticing expansion and a kind of softness. And the color that I'm getting is this rose petal pink. How about you? Blue, freedom, power, warm, calmness, pink, relaxed. Nice. I'd say we did a good job. Would you agree? Green, gold, more self-worth. Nice. Reel it in. Own it. It's all yours. All yours. And your only job is to keep remembering that state, to remind yourself of that state. You can do the switch, you could do the whole thing, or you just choose your anchor. You think of something blue, you say the word blue, or yellow or white, frangipani, or I never know how to say that. It's one of my favorite scents. It's this beautiful flower, frangipani, Hawaii. And then choose a picture, right? You could now go ahead and you could go through magazines or online, and you could choose an image that resembles that feeling, that thing that you got today. And then you could put it somewhere really important, like next to your bed or even on the bathroom, somewhere where you see it, so that you keep remembering. And then you could tap one of the points that we tapped to integrate it into your nervous system. And then notice what happens the next 3 days, the next 10 days, and then make a little note in your calendar 3 months from now. And then ask yourself the question 3 months from now, what's changed? How am I more in my creative power now? What's different right now? And every subtle change you notice, celebrate it, because that's change happening for you. It's proof that wherever you are in life right now, you can change, and you can make that decision to keep amplifying your state, to keep finding peace, to keep connecting to the things that you love, that make you happy. And the more often you do that, the more stable and raised your vibrations will become, because it's a habit then. It's nothing you need to consciously think of. Make sense? Yeah? Seeing some sort of nodding. Okay. Any final questions? Anything you'd like to say or share? Then raise your hand, unmute yourself. I'd love to hear from you. Yay, Anita, please.
Hello, everybody. Asking about the tapping. I do a lot of tapping. It doesn't matter which round you make, but do you first, do you second, or right or left, or
good question.
Does it matter?
Good question. Well, here's the bottom line, most likely not. Okay. As long as you're tapping something, you're consciously doing something and you're sending energy through your body. Yeah. The way that we tapped our points right now is a certain, it's called the regenerative cycle of Chinese medicine. So we start by harmonizing the left and right brain hemisphere, getting, the whole state into neutrality. That's what that first move does. And then we're moving through the different 5 elements, right? We're moving through the wood and the fire and the water, yada, yada, and the earth, to balance this nervous system, to balance the energy system within our bodies. But even if you tap something and you say good things to yourself, you're doing something. Yeah. You're shifting the energy. Yeah. So if in doubt, just do something, right?
Every day there's something. I'm just brave. I'm just brave. I'm just powerful. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. This is the only thing I know when I'm at another place.
I love that you're affirming what you want. That's very powerful to do.
Okay.
The reason why we start here with the switch and we say, I love and accept myself, even when I'm angry, even when I'm frustrated, even when I'm this, what we're doing there is we're accepting what is.
Okay.
Right. And that's very important to be able to change or shift anything. We first have to accept what is. So often we want to go from, I don't know, deep depression into euphoria. It's hard. We first got to kind of move up into, oh yeah, well, I guess this is just what is. And then when I can do, okay, it's what is, I can say, okay, why is this the best thing that could happen to me right now? Why is this a blessing? And then I can move up into gratitude. And then when I'm in gratitude, it's easier to go up into joy and peace. And so I love the question, and I love the part that we are consciously aware of what is. So we're not gaslighting ourselves. We're not spiritually bypassing. We're giving ourselves the right and the acknowledgement of, yeah, right now we feel kind of shitty, right? Because what happens then also is that we become better and better and finer in our awareness of noticing, oh, what kind of shitty? Is it more the angry shitty, or is it more the depressed shitty, right? And then we can say, oh, what does this specific feeling remind me of? And then that's how I do it. And then it takes me back, unconscious mind, super smart, whoop, bring up. Yeah, you were about 4 years old and that happened, felt similar there. And then I can say, oh, interesting. So what need is not getting met right now? So you see, it becomes a whole, if we want, a whole path of self-reflection, and that's how we evolve.
Mm-hmm.
So, great question. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else here? Anything you'd like to say? Oh, look at Lisbeth's background. That looks so explosive, and it's like a heart of lava. I'm seeing so much passion in there. Whew, am I right? Is that something that's going on in your life right now? She's nodding. Okay. You could say something if you wanted, just unmute yourself. If there's something you'd like to share, what made you choose this beautiful heart with purple and orange and reds in it?
Simply, I love the picture. It's a vibrating heart with a sparkling heart. Yeah.
And is that something that you notice is already happening in your life, or is it something that you're seeking to manifest? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, I manifested more and more. I'm more and more in love with myself. Yeah. And people around me.
Nice. Well, congratulations. Keep on doing what you're doing. It seems to be working. Love the background. Thank you. Okay, any other background I'm seeing that sticks out now? No, I think we're good. Thank you, everyone, for all those of you who chose to change it right away. That's wonderful. Those of you on a phone, you could do it later on if you like to. You can have it as a preset, and then it'll always be there. You could make it really personal. Put your whole vision board up there, whatever floats your boat. So thank you for being here. I wish you such an amazing week ahead. May you stay true to yourself. May you stay fair to yourself. May you play a lot. May you get out of your head and into your heart and let all that yummy feminine goddess energy flow freely. I give you permission. Give yourself permission now too. Okay. Big kiss, girls. Bye-bye. And to Lily, can we stay on the call a little longer? Could you just stay while everybody else goes?
Thank you very much.
Minutes. Thank you. Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Luana and Lisa and Camilita and Maria Luigia. Luigi, mere names. Luigia. There you go. Maria Luigia. Austria Renate, thank you. Thank you, Rosalie, for joining. Thank you, Karen, for joining. And thank you, Yvonne, for joining. It was really nice having you here. I hope you come again next week. And for all German speakers, We convene again tomorrow at 10 a.m. if you are German speaking.